Now we will move on with the proceedings of our conference with the next session, which is under the title Towards the Implementation of the Moral Education Initiative, Roles and Mechanisms. It will be chaired by His Excellency Marwan Ahmad Al-Sawalh, Under Secretary for Academic Affairs, Ministry of Education, UAE. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, most compassionate, Your Excellencies, dear attendees, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to welcome you at the second session in our conference, which will deal with the activation of our moral education initiative, and it has to do with roles and mechanisms. It has to do with the inaction and implementation and having live examples of teachers as well as school students and university students, and the role of community and the local community's role and its institutions in the activation of this subject. We will have speakers and participants, Dr. Najwa Muhammad Al-Husani, the Assistant Professor, Department of Curriculum and Instruction at the UAE University in the UAE, and Dr. Abdul Latif Al-Shamsi, the Vice Chancellor of the Higher Colleges of Technology UAE, and Mr. Fahim Al-Naimi, the CEO, National Research and Education Network at the UAE, or Ankabut at the UAE. So the speakers will give their presentations in 20 minutes, and with reviewing a brief discussion of such roles, and then we will open discussion at the end of the session. Now, Dr. Najwa will be the first speaker to give her presentation. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, most compassionate, and praise on the Holy Prophet and his followers. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good afternoon, and thanks for your introduction. And the beginning, I would like to thank this blessed center for inviting us, and thanks to them for their hospitality. As I told Dr. Jamal, we have really amazing organization and follow-up in order to ensure this great participants, and this is really an added value to this center. Or outstanding center. So I will deal with the role of teachers in the implementation of the moral education initiative. When we talk about moral education, we cannot skip the name of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, because he was the person who introduced this idea, and as my fellow colleagues has mentioned, that he is really concerned about this subject, because he is 100% sure that our community needs a lot for us as specialists to have the most distinguished image for the UAE, and the moral values have to be the foundation or basis for anything advanced that we have. Of course, His Highness has many things that he said, or many sentences that he said. He said that teachers and his givings can really make a difference for the students whom we are preparing for continuing with our constructive march. So he thinks that we need more than this out of a teacher. He needs a sacrifice and and also to strongly believe in his vital role, not only for communicating knowledge and consolidating moral values, but to continue with this. So he said also that we will continue with our efforts to ensure having an outstanding kind of education for this generation and the coming generation. And so what we should focus on in this sentence is the quality education. So we shouldn't really give too much care for quantity, but we have to give more care for the quality. We have to care about innovation and the number of students who were outstanding in international tests. So quality education is what we should focus on most, as reiterated by our leadership. And you also mentioned innovators. So we need an innovative teachers. As a university professor, if I see students who do not belong to the world of teaching, I advise them not to go on with this field, because this field needs high level of thinking and morals and ethics and academics as well. So all these things have to be there for any teacher. So since this subject is a new initiative or a creative initiative that is offered by His Highness, and as mentioned before, it has some implementational aspects and discussions, especially at the early stages until the second stage at the secondary school, or secondary grade. There isn't really a particular educational stage for offering this subject. So it should be taught in public and private schools. And you all know that we are really suffering of the students' behaviors, as mentioned by Dr. Moza, about cheating and other bad behaviors. So we should, when we offer this subject for teaching, we have to have it there for in all areas. So it is a newborn initiative and needs a lot of efforts and development and preparation. So as much as we can with the cooperation between the higher education and education to have this initiative really operating properly. And also we want students to be the men and women of the future who have great ethics and morals. We want to have excellent characters that are loyal and have fidelity and love and all of the great values. So the educational institutions are not the only institutions that are responsible for this. We want a comprehensive system in our schools, in the family, in our social institutions, and many other areas. Dr. Moza also mentioned about having a question about why do we emphasize on moral education and what are the reasons for coming out with this initiative. What happened in Egypt 2 days ago, which is a suicidal attack against one of the mosques that resulted in a huge number of casualties. praise, and there were people who were only praying. There was a guy who really exploded himself, and this gives a very bad image about Islam and Muslims, and this is repeated every day, even in the future and the coming days and years. So this scene, when witnessed by our kids and educationalists, will really raise a big question. Why are those people, what are they doing for, who are only looking for killing and damage? And all countries of the world are looking for means to calm those peoples down, those people who really belong to humanity in any manner. So they are the ones who are encouraging destruction. And so the widespread crimes are one of the reasons for having this subject. As we hear from the social media and the media, like sons or daughters who really attack their parents, or students who attack their teachers using knives or any other weapons, and also bullying phenomenon. This is something that encourage our prudent leadership to have this initiative, because we need stability and security. All of us have kids, may God bless them, and my children come back at 3:30, and until 8 o'clock they devote this time to showering or studying. Most of the time they spent is in school, so they are really affected by the behaviors of their teachers and fellow students, and that's why we needed this subject. And also restricting families' role in fostering kids and education really also, so as I said, that other elements in fostering education, like our drivers, our iPad, our servants, so all those are participating at raising our kids, but there are some other elements now included in this system. So without values, we cannot protect our nation and its gains. So when we talk about moral education, it has to be linked and associated with the building man or human beings. So we just don't want stuffing our kids' minds with a number of or a huge amount of information. This could be brought from other sources, but we need to develop our kids' minds and souls, and accordingly their bodies. So we have to view our kids through these three angles, and we have a deficient education, and this deficient education means that we will come out with failing human beings, and they will not be able to serve their communities. And that's why we have to look into this. We have some values to care about, like for example fidelity, so that our kids otherwise, our kids would not be loyal to their homeland, and they might leak the secrets and the confidential information of their country to those who give them any kind of bribes. So they have to learn about fidelity and loyalty. All researchers are sure that conscience is completely formed by the end of the second year of a child. They will be able to differentiate right from wrong. And this is a very serious thing that our teachers and parents have to know. So at such an early age will know about their conscience. And accordingly, we have to teach them all these values. We have to teach them about integrity so that they would distance themselves from corruption. Now we have many students cheating, and so kids now are using headsets in order to cheat and just to get these successful scores. Now, what about love and compassion? When we tell our students about love, they might feel ashamed, but it's really about something that is very valuable. Loving our country, God, of course, and our fellow students and teachers. And so we have to build our lives on love. And students might be surprised when we tell them that we want to teach them love. And they might ask me, what do you mean by love? So, in order to be able to coexist with all these different nationalities, and in order not to feel that they are better than others, they have to love all people from different nationalities. And this will really be harvested when those people return to their countries. And there also should be a self-control or self-oversight. But unfortunately, it is receding. And so our kids, males or females, really suffer from this. So we have, as I saw one of our male national students was wearing some jewelry, and this is really something so untraditional in our country. And they even wear chains and earrings. So we want we need a radar at home so that they wouldn't commit anything wrong at home or on the streets or even in school. But I have never seen in any radar in foreign countries because people have this kind of self-control when they drive. So they don't need buying such devices. We need to develop this type of self-control. Otherwise, our youth will need fines and laws to make them do the right things. So I'm now 42 years old, and I still remember my first teacher who taught me at the primary stage, and she was called Ms. Tamam, and she was great. So it would. And I still remember my physics teacher who made me hate figures and equations, Ms. Faiza. So kids always remember their childhood with every particular details or all particular details, and those who contributed to their success or failure. So who is the teacher of moral education? I had that question and I thought about this question. Is that teacher different from other teachers? No. Teachers are teachers. They have the same characteristics and they should undertake their tasks sincerely. But those of ethics and morals for a moral education teacher has to be more. And when Khulud asked her question, she said that there are some criteria for this type of teacher. And in order to execute our ambitious plans for the millennium, we want an extremely outstanding and excellent teacher. We need a teacher who believes in the construction of humans thinking and who are really highly professional, because I see teachers who are just want to go on with their teaching and then forget about their profession. So we need an enthusiastic teacher, and really what I hate to see is what I see every Saturday evening on the social media. With the sad faces I see because they have to work the next week or next day. So this is something that's shocking. No one has enthusiasm to work. Our teachers have to have an attitude that would make us all proud of them. Many of the speakers mention the favors of their teachers. So you as a teacher are the one who will really make life different for your students. We need a teacher who could bear the responsibility of enhancing or consolidating the values in students. So some teachers don't care about the output of their teaching, whether kids really grasp what they taught or not. So we need innovative teachers. Not through traditional teaching. And so when my phone or computer are hacked, I give it to my kids to fix them. So we want our teachers to be at pace with these new trends and with their students. So teaching methods have to be untraditional, and the students have to be proud of their teachers, as we are proud of our old teachers. Our teachers would bring us articles from the newspapers, and he would ask us to analyze such newspaper articles. So he was able to allow us to have critical thinking. And in France, when they started to apply moral education after all those Charlie newspaper incidents, the Minister of Education was from Algerian origin, and the teachers went out in demonstrations because they wanted to go on with teaching such subjects, but they were objecting because they were not really fully qualified to teach this subject. So the role of a moral education teacher has to be a loving father or mother, because one of the mothers said that there is a teacher that is really loved and liked by all the students. he was called Mr. Ahmed. So that mother went to the school, and she started watching that teacher, and he was hugging the students like their father. And also they have to be mentors and guide as well. Because this could be taken from the values of our religion. In order not to be forced to import any other values from others. So that's why many of our youth are attracted to such foreign programs. We need a teacher who really enhances our national identity among students. And especially for a kindergarten stage. Where each student is responsible to decorate a corner. So one of the students had an innovative idea which has to do with national identity. So I gave her 25 out of 25, and she got all those tools to emphasize that idea. But 80% of the students, unfortunately, were not able to know what she brought into the classroom. And also, they have to be well read and to be able to know about all cultures. And so they shouldn't be ignorant. Our nation is far-sighted, is looking for the role models, as mentioned earlier. We need a teacher who is a role model and a leader. Thank you for listening.
شكرا دكتورة.
Thank you, Doctor. This is very important. Now we move on to another important experience. The Higher College of Technology is one of the leading colleges that have taken the concept of moral education and started teaching it at the academic and the behavioral level. Now we have with us Dr. Abdul Latif to highlight the moral education curricula vision and content. I'd like to Allah the compassionate, the merciful, praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad. At the beginning, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude for the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research for highlighting this very important topic, and I would like to thank His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Suwaidi for his kind invitation. When they asked me to discuss the topic of moral education, definitely moral education and education are very important and are definitely well interdependent. But in the Higher College of Technology, we are looking into underscoring moral education through the recruitment in the army and the study that we have conducted in this regard that have to do with the comparing the students who completed their national service or recruitment in the army to the colleagues who have not really performed their recruitment in the army. So definitely the moral education starts at the beginning, starts at the family, and the role played by family is very important. And schools, of course, have a great role to play, and it underscores these values. And as highlighted by my colleague Dr. Najwa, it is a comprehensive manner and does not stop at a certain point. At the level of universities, we at the Higher College of Technology, we have adopted a number of initiatives such as the voluntary work, and every student now, it is mandatory for every student to complete 100 hours of community service, voluntary community service, and this really had a major impact with regard to underscoring loyalty. And definitely there is also another important system and another research that highlighted with the students who have completed their national service compared to the students who have not really joined the national service or performed the national service. Moreover, we took it one step further because we have a concept that the students or our graduates who join the national service are far more disciplined with regard to their conduct and behavior. However, we also took into account the academic indicators of the students who performed national service and compared them to those who haven't. Before we start, last week there was Aqdar International Summit, or ICANN International Summit, and there was a meeting with His Highness Sheikh Sultan bin Zayed, who spoke about the impact of moral education, and I used this video. This video will summarize, I'll display now a video that will summarize what I want to say, and the speech by His Highness Sheikh Saif bin Zayed. The Higher College of Technology works on developing the integrated personality of students and characteristics. No doubt, the concepts of today's summit, as per the figures, show that the national service boosts students' efficiency and competence. The ethical system starts from home, reaching up to university. Now, at the Higher College of Technology, we launched a number of initiatives to underscore and boost moral values, such as voluntary activities and community works, in addition to supporting those students who have really completed national service, and we are comparing their performance compared to the students who have not completed their national service and its impact on their academic performance. We have a community at the Higher College of Technology Service. The students have joined the university from 2014, 2015, 2015, and 2016. We have conducted the study, and the study showed that the students, the university students who perform national service, have been far more disciplined and much better at the academic level compared to their colleagues. I joined the national service after completing high school. National service made me see life from a different perspective and respect life and respect time. National service taught me how to move from civilian service into military service and how to be proud of supporting my country at all levels. Completing 100 hours of voluntary work is mandatory at HCT. Higher College of Technology HCT launched a number of initiatives to underscore the sense of belonging and repay the favor of our homeland. Those initiatives have been definitely the initiative of voluntary work among HCT college students. Now we have thousands of hours in community service, and thousands of students participated in this initiative. The kind of students that you graduate, and our sons and daughters are entrusted to you to raise them. Definitely, this clip has briefly summarized the number of indicators and the stuff that we have started implementing at the Higher College of Technology. As I highlighted, the voluntary work is one of the key pillars of boosting this sense of belonging among our students. Now I'll highlight the mechanism, or let's say the approach that we have adopted to evaluate the performance of the students who completed national service. The concept here was to measure the impact of performing national service from the level with regards to the performance level, academic performance level, compared to the students who have not completed their national service yet. The content of the study was really about the impact of this national service program and how it affected the new students in Higher College of Technology. The methods that we used, we got the data of our students, we gathered the data that highlight their discipline, the students' discipline, and the comparison here was 4,500 students who in the last 2 years, 2015 and 2017, who have completed the national service. Those who completed the national service are only 2,500. So we use the number of indicators in the student registration system and compare them with the number of KPIs that I will be mentioning soon. We also conducted a survey about the opinions, or an opinion poll of students with regard to national service, in addition to the opinions of the teachers who have been teaching to those, or the professors who have been teaching to those students, talking about those 4,500 students overall. We conducted a benchmarking study with these performance to find out the KPIs for performance, comparing two groups, the group who completed national service and the group who have not completed national service, and both of them are studying at Higher College of Technology. With regards to the first initial academic and behavioral KPIs, over the past 14 we had really seven academic KPIs and 7 discipline KPIs, where we compare the two groups. Around 2,500 students who completed the national service program, and around 2,000 students who have not completed it or joined the national service. So we have 7 indicators with regard to academic performance, which we looked at the level of success, the level of withdrawal from the courses, the accumulative GPA, the semester GPA, and the success rate at IELTS test, and the number of credit hours that have been completed, in addition to the utilization of smart learning mechanisms. We use this through the banner system. The banner system is the student registration system. We found that 4 factors or 4 KPIs: success, the general accumulative GPA, and the GPA, and the number of credit hours that have been completed successfully, in addition to the rate of using smart services for students, smart programs. The students who completed national service outdid or were much better than the colleagues who have not completed the national service. So definitely academic achievement is also correlated with behavioral aspects and discipline and attendance. So when we took a look at the other criteria that have to do, or the indicators, the 7 indicators that have to do with discipline and behavior: the level of attendance, the level of continuing in studying, the level of participating in student activity, the level of changing specialization, the level of voluntary or the number of voluntary work hours, and the number of awards given to students. We have seen variation here, especially with the continuation of study indicator and using smart services, in addition to the number of or the total number of voluntary work hours, which were better for students who completed the national service compared to those who didn't. Now we get back to the same indicators that have been used or have been obtained from the banner system. Moreover, we conducted a survey or an opinion poll among students with regard to national service, and there was really a massive participation here that shows the distribution of the students who have completed the national service. We categorized it into 3 categories. The first category is boosting the sense of belonging and developing skills and underscoring values. This data show the levels or the ratio of the students and how the national service impacted or affected their values and their skills. We notice here that the students respected the curriculum, respected the teachers and the professors and the location they are studying at. These were among the key indicators, in addition to the sense of responsibility, and we're talking about values here among the students who completed national service, in addition to boosting the sense of responsibility and resilience and commitment and diligence. This is really all of these areas have been stressed with regard to those students. As for the development of the skills and skills development among students, we'd see that the most prominent indicator in this regard is the ability to work in a group, flexibility, self-confidence, being determined, and diligent and high focus, having a high sense of focus. All of these were better among the students who completed national service compared to others, in addition to developing the leadership skills that have to do with the students' abilities, and they have their own reflection on the academic performance. The level really is very important. Moreover, this is the last survey that we conducted, and we obtained the data from professors and teachers who have been dealing with the students who complete the national service. The most important and common comment here was the respect and maturity and positive behavior and sense of responsibility. The recommendations that we have achieved or we have obtained from this study is to document this experience for the students who are conducting studies to underscore this initiative. This is an initial reading and interpretation for the two groups who have joined the Higher College of Technology, and the study is still ongoing. Still, number 2, linking linking academic skills to social skills. Number 3, conducting studies and surveys amongst students before and after completing the national service. Celebrating those who completed the national service to motivate their colleagues to join the national service. Number 5, establishing a student affairs program at that would focus on the national service, conducting workshops and forums where the students who completed the national service would participate in, and along with their colleagues, stimulating public education institutes to boost the role of students, young people, and enhance their capabilities. And I would like to conclude my speech by this result. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Dr. Abdul Latif. Our last speaker for the day is His Excellency Mr. Fahem Naimi. He will tell us really about the role of supportive social institutions, definitely the roles of teachers, parents, and social organizations. All of them should really contribute together to bring about positive results by teaching this subject or implementing it in the community. Now let's take the concept of social support and what we should be doing as a community in this regard to boost this initiative. Please, the floor is yours. And then, for peace be with all of you. I wish you a wonderful afternoon. And I hope my presentation will be brief, because I know it's lunchtime, so I will try to be brief. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research for the kind invitation and this excellent selection of the title of the Moral Education for this conference. Thank you, Dr. Jamal, for selecting this title for the conference. From the very beginning and since the early morning, we have been hearing about laws and foundations and teachers, schools, curricula, books, experiences. Yet, what we really focus on are not the people in this hall. The main focus is not the people in the hall, but we are focusing on another community and other individuals. So, before I would start my presentation, I have one question just to get things going. Every one of you who spends 8 hours per day with his children would raise his voice. Raise his hand, please. Raise your hand if you spend 8 hours with your children. Raise your hands. I live in the community. Please, those who spend 8 hours with their children, raise his hands. Imagine only 1 or 2 are doing that. Who teaches moral education? I would like to thank Sheikh Khulud and Her Excellency Jamila, the minister. I'd like to thank them for their speeches. However, today, Beit al-Hikmah is no longer in Baghdad. Beit al-Hikmah is here, in this cell phone. This is the embodiment of Beit al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom. If your children are spending 20 hours on this one using the smartphones, and so are you. So from the very beginning of this conference, somebody's been wondering about the role of technology in moral education and morals. Can you imagine that in 2050 we will have cities without schools? That is possible. right? It is possible because schools will be at home in 2050. It will be an online school. It will be distance learning. It will be available at these devices. So are we ready for this development? Are we really drawing up the policies and the curricula that would enable us to get ready for this future? We should be ready. We should get ready because this is the future. And all these smartphones and smart devices will be the teachers of our students in the future. So I just want us to be ready for the future. Beit al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom, is in everyone's bucket. It is in everyone's pocket. You are holding it. It's the smart devices. Okay, let's get back to the main presentation. It's not really a dark image, or it's not really that bleak image. As highlighted by His Excellency Mr. Mubarak al-Shamsi, in the past, families, schools, mosques, and neighbors were the mentors of our children. Today, those are no longer the teachers and mentors of our children. So what we see today, what we've been witnessing today, is nothing new. This achievement in the UAE was made by the late Sheikh Zayed, established by the late Sheikh Zayed, may Allah bless his soul. He established it by role models, by leading by example, by sublime moral values.
I was responsible for the arranged communications at the time of Sheikh Zayed. So this is a type of ethics, and this is what we want for our leadership, and also the programs of Sheikh Mohammed, and including moral education in the curricula. So, however, we have to care about our kids today who look at it from a different angle. So we need set the digital national identity of the citizens. So I hope that we will come out with recommendations that insist on having the national identity from the cultural point of view. This is what happened in Australia through and also this also happened in France. They have programs for this purpose because this is a stage of different kids and different communities. So this is the role of technology that I was talking about. We at our national network for research and studies, we cover the Emirates from Fujairah to Abu Dhabi with 88 scientific researchers that are linked through an independent network for education. So as the doctor said, you are talking about some types of behavior that are showing on the Instagram and other social media. So this is what we want from our officials to have to develop rules and systems as well as oversight regulations and content for such technologies. Now the content that we have on social media, who is their manager? As Dr. Najwa said, someone from a far country would teach our kids. He doesn't know about our curricula or books. So this is through those small gadgets. So we need to develop regulations and laws for such technology. And I think it's a common responsibility for us, a joint responsibility. I'm talking about morals. It is not limited to books. It is related to our life as a whole and our community as a whole. And almost 80% of the parents don't know what our kids are watching on the mobile or any other gadget. Can you do this? You can't, because the amount of overflowing information cannot be controlled by you, especially for families who have poor technology, especially those with so many kids. So we should have technological culture that in order to be able to deal with this. And all what we listen to since the morning about the role of religion and the role of community and school as well as educationalists, all this is good and it's nice talk. You can write it in books. But on the ground, the party which manages is the other system or regime. It is technology. So that guy who was asking me about being involved in a seminar about the enhancement of values. It is related to the content of social media because they play a serious part in enhancing values. So what's really teaching our kids is social media, not our religious guys or teachers or parents. So for the programs of the social media, there were many complaints and so I didn't really get rid of the role of the kids, but we want to be with them participating at fostering the kids. So this is really giving you evidence that that social media is controlling and and technology, of course, are controlling fostering our children. So if you watch your kids doing things that are not really complying with the traditions and ethics of our society, so you will have to know that this is brought from the social media. And if you find a guy who is really not a specialist and shows up in Abu Dhabi Mall and he is very popular by kids, it's because of the social media. So it is the social media and the content of the social media. So we all, it's our duty as educationalists or decision makers or working in the field of technology. We all have to unite in order to develop new regulations. As Ms. Khulud said, that we should include the development of technological culture as one of the themes, because the teacher might be teaching the 4 themes for 1 hour or 2 traditionally or interactively, and then when he goes home, he will find something on the contrary of what he taught. Are we really convincing to our kids or the social media? I have kids between 8th to fully grown kids who are working as physicians. I have traditions and ideas, but my children really criticize me and tell me that I am wrong, and they mention examples from other countries like Kuwait or Saudi Arabia. So we have really to be aware of what's happening, and we have to think fast about how we can change this. I was really happy with the questions raised. So what should we do? It really doesn't matter that we should have a textbook. We need other things. We have to arrange our priorities and know what we should do, what comes first. So it's a must to the decision makers and educational institutes have to discuss these issues or immediately. There was something about artificial intelligence, and the most important problem addressing artificial intelligence is what? What do you think it is? It's ethics. There are no regulations or values mentioned in our regulations. So now scientists are thinking about fixing internet on the eye lens. So there are experiments regarding these issues. How this is going to happen, we really don't know. So we need different regulations and different viewpoint about education and morals. And you will see you have to know about what your kids are viewing. You have a different type of education, different culture that really takes respect of our country and our rulers as a basis. And so we have really to pay attention to technology. Otherwise, our national identity will be gone. So we have to include this into technology and use it to serve our interests. Now remember what happened in Egypt, in the Egyptian mosque. What did the Egyptian government do? It has stopped using the telegram. So can we do this? The people will look for other alternatives. So instead, you should develop regulations related to this issue. And these have to be compliant with our prudent leadership. Thank you for listening, and don't forget that this gadget is what represents wisdom now. Thanks, doctor, and we are really agree with you about paying attention to technology and social media. That would really be suitable to our juniors, and we have to fight all those things that are unlike us. And before we conclude, we have 20 minutes left for our audience to raise questions and comments and discussion. Thanks to all the presenters. Dr. Abdulatif, as for the study that you had, was it in coordination with the Ministry of Defense? And are there any results? And what about regulations? What do you mean by legal regulations? Can we set regulations for a product, for a knowledge product that I cannot control? As for the study I talked about, we had an initial reading regarding a PhD dissertation for Fatma Al-Hammadi at our college, and this view is in coordination with the Ministry of Defense, because they have their surveys and indicators, and we can benefit from this. So at this stage, we still don't have yet any coordination, but still we are at the initial stage, and it is still under study. As for controlling technology, schools, do you know what schools allow or forbid? Is there a regulation issued in this regard? So you have 8 to 9 hours for a kid to spend in schools. Are there any regulations for what is allowed and what is forbidden? As for your home, you still can have more control on this issue. But kids spend more time in schools. Are there any regulations governing this issue? Is it possible? And also for filtering the information that kids get. Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Nabil Azam from the Higher Technology College. And I have a question now. This subject will be introduced to our schools and it will be taught by a teacher. So should this teacher be a specialist? I think that he should be a specialist. He should learn national education, but he should also have an idea about sociology, about psychology, as well as national education and Islamic education, and also have a knowledge about IT. As Dr. Fahim mentioned, technology now is a part of all fields, so we have to introduce our kids to the morals concerning social media. Thanks for this question. And it should be so there isn't really a specialty for teaching this subject. It needs skills more than content because it will be provided by the educational institutions. But I agree with you that there should be some skills that this teacher should have, psychology or sociology, because we as educational institutions can give them training, but we cannot really have a specialist for teaching this subject in particular. And I think that the ministry will have criteria for this. I would like to add something that still not yet that we have chosen teachers for this subject, because we think that it is a system for the whole school. So any teacher or any professional or principal can teach this subject. We cannot restrict teaching this subject to particular specialties in education. So because it really for the benefit of the whole system, and it should apply to all people working in school, and all of them have to be engaged. We don't want our students to link this subject to particular types of teachers. Assalamu alaikum. At the beginning, I have a question to Ms. Fatma. How can we set the identity of a citizen digitally and digital culture is concerned? So, for this through the digital safety and digital security, as well as digital cyber, all these issues need to be explained to the members of family and also in schools. So all of you know about digital security. Students have to know about it, as well as digital safety. as far as content is concerned. So we have themes that could be taught and learned and within the framework of a digital culture. Dr. Khadija Al-Hamed from Zaid University. My question also is to Mr. Fahim. It seems that we have a lot of discussion about technology because it is really controlling us, and as it's now the source of wisdom, as Mr. Fahim said. So how can we adapt such gadgets that are in the hands of our kids and our hands within the framework of the curricula of moral education? I have another comment. How much of the ethical content is there on the social media? We need to benefit from the social media for this type of information. We have to focus on the electronic means, and we only focus on paper means. So, but our new generations don't have time to look into paper documents. So we have to increase our doses of our e-content that would enhance such type of culture and ethics in the society. How you can watch like 1,000 Instagrams. How many of them enhance ethics and morality? Do we have agencies for production of such things electronically? We only have printouts and but we don't have any body that is specialized in e-products. So instead of searching that may include unethical contents, they can find their information through our contents. So because can we filter out or even know about the content that is ethical or unethical that is there on the social media? There should be no, we should know about, should increase the size of e-product that enhances ethics and morals. We need actually such a thing because there is a lot of overflow electronically, and this really sets the features of the current generation's culture. So we need really to fix this issue as far as e-culture is concerned. Or e-content is concerned. In brief, I would like to thank you and congratulate you on the occasion of our National Day. And I want to know why why is only the student that is targeted? Why? We have also to discuss this with students who cheat, not only the elite, and know why they are cheating in order to invest their intelligence. Why should ethics and morals are restricted to the Ministry of Education? All the government bodies have to be included, and also why we need also to, why do we need to enhance the value of tolerance, although this is one of the characteristics of Emirati people? And so we will take your comments into consideration. I have a question addressed to Dr. Fahim. What is the use of having alternative platforms as done by China and Japan, since the platforms of social media are a threat to the ethics and morals? And also for Dr. Abdulatif, what about the language factor? To answer the first question, in order to create new platforms as China did, which has banned Google, is really against what we mentioned in the morning, tolerance and reviewing other cultures. And this is important in the Emirates. We want only to teach people in order not to abuse such means. So we are really looking for any other means in order to avoid following or adopting what China did. So, because if you really think of banning these platforms, they will look for any means to have access to what has been banned. And this is what's happening in China. What we are saying is, instead of banning, improve your own means.
Aziz.
The role of the Arabic language in underscoring those values, right? First, the subject of the Arabic language is one of the key mandatory subjects in university, and recently we have introduced the communication skills in Arabic, which has become also mandatory for all the higher college of technology students. No doubt they are closely related, directly and indirectly, to the ethical and or the moral upbringing or the moral education as well. Thank you very much, Professor. In conclusion, I would like to thank all the speakers, Dr. Najwa, Dr. Abdulatif, Mr. Fahim, and actually all of us unanimously agree that there's a gap in the society with regards to its values, and we need to protect the future generation. So I would like to reiterate what was introduced by our colleagues and our professors, that we need to play integrated roles. This is not restricted to the education system or the education institutions only, and we are really have a great opportunity in this regard, as our leader and our wise leadership has realized that this gap exists and has introduced the solution to bridge this gap, because we do need to seize this opportunity, because we have the proper and the necessary financial and material and immaterial and ethical resources for this. So we need to ensure that the UAE is an international hub for boosting these values according to our wise leadership. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you. Would like to thank all the participants in the second panel. I would like to attract the attention of dear guests that we have provided an electronic survey about the subject of the conference at this link displayed on the screen. Please participate in the electronic survey so we know your opinion. Now I would like to conclude the first day of the 8th Annual Education Conference, Schools and Moral Education Toward an Education System that Consolidates Values in the Society. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning. Peace be with all of you.